She throws dishes at everyone.
Right.
Like Chinese.
She's throwing like chocolates and shit. It's like someone's mom throwing chocolates.
Mexican Marge. She just hits him with a chocolate.
Oh, hit you with the Sub-Zero liquid on the floor and just watch you slip on some soap.
Right.
Yeah, some fabuloso.
Yeah, hit you with the fabuloso. Just...
Welcome back to the channel. We're going to get into a little discussion today. We're going to talk about some video games, current and all-time favorites. So who wants to kick it off?
Go ahead. You know I'll get on my soapbox with it.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll tell you about my current video games that I like to play right now. I mean, I've always been into like racing video games.
Hold on. Before you go on that, what platform are you playing on?
I'm on the PS5 right now.
Okay, PS5.
That's a thing? I thought nobody could even get that shit.
Yeah, I've been like not been able to get one.
I thought
like
the chip
forever,
shortage was
bro.
like to where those weren't even a thing yet.
I got family that works at Walmart and
Get lucky. Yeah.
You know, we got all this hookup, underground kind of shit.
You got to know when it's coming in.
Exactly. They'll let you know.
Right. You will put me on, bro. I want a PS5.
Well, I didn't know y'all. It was like that,
bro. It's
one that fell
the
off
streets
the truck.
is starving, baby.
Really?
It's hungry out here on the block for a goddamn
I just
PS5.
saw all the memes and just assumed that they weren't available because I don't really play too many video games right now.
Or like people are hooking up with like 50-year-old ladies trying to get them to get the plug on
yeah,
the PS5.
Right.
So you got the PS5. How is it?
It's good. I don't notice honestly a major leap in technology from the PS4 to the PS5. I think it's pretty similar, but I think that they have the ability to push the boundaries, but they're still trying to figure out what those boundaries are with the PS5.
I feel like the software hasn't caught up to the hardware yet on it.
Exactly.
What about the controllers? Are they the same?
They're the same.
Have you guys seen the Unreal Engine 5?
Oh man.
Well, like Unreal Tournament, the engine for shooters.
No, it's like game.
It creates.
It's software. Yeah. It's the software that developers use to create games. If you haven't seen this trailer, go look that up on YouTube.
They're pretty
Unreal
wild.
Engine 5. They did a Matrix video game trailer for what the future video games could be.
Oh, what is it, like a third person run around and it up,
the
flying
maps,
around as Neo?
The maps are insane.
Big
the environment.
Yeah,
even just like NPC AI is ridiculous.
Is it like a free world type of thing?
It's just what
you can. Spider-Man.
It's just crazy, like how realistic worlds can look with this kind of technology. But go ahead, I'm gonna get back to you.
No, I completely forgot.
You got the PS5.
I was all
like
some
talking
Rick
about driving
and Morty right now, where we're like in a world within a world kind of thing. Like
Inception.
I think we're right.
Well, you're talking about driving games. You said you always like those. What are your favorite driving games before you had the PS5, like old school ones? Which
I've always been Gran Turismo.
Oh, that one was dope.
Classic.
Yeah,
from the PS2, PS3.
Classic.
The original Gran Turismo is where I started, and the reason why I like it is because it was so hard to play as a kid. I ruined it every single time, and as an adult, I can barely get around a track. So it's fun for me. And
That's
then
a
I
hard
like
game.
shooters too, first-person shooters. I know you like first-person shooters, James. You've been in like some crazy shit, bro.
Yeah, I used to be a big-time Counter-Strike nerd a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was like 15, 16. I'm 35 now, just for context. But yeah, when I was 15 or 16, I played a lot of Counter-Strike. CS 1.5, CS 1.6, and I did it competitively where I had a LAN team. We were all on a local area network playing on computers together. We used to go to live tournaments, win cash prizes, and there were a bunch of leagues for Counter-Strike with different tiers. And when I was playing really heavily, there were 4 tiers. There was the Cyber Athlete Professional League was the top one, and it was like Cal I, Cyber Athlete Invite. But all the people from that one would also go to this tournament called the CPL, the Cyber Athlete Professional League. And then there were leagues below that. Cal Main, Cal Intermediate, and Cal Open was like the noob one. I was in Cal Main, so I was right below professional level and probably could have went pro, but the team that I played with were all my friends from real life, and I never wanted to like ditch them for a better team because I was the leader and the best one on the team and shit. Used to organize all of our strategies and all that stuff, but yeah, I just never wanted to separate from my friends and never went pro because of that.
I didn't know that.
That's a deep thing,
Yo, I used to play it heavily, bro.
Yeah.
Like, scheduled.
I remember you telling me, but I didn't know it was that in depth.
You still prefer the PC platform over like consoles?
Yeah, for shooters, definitely, because I mean, Counter-Strike at one point had come out for the PS2 or PS3. I can't remember which one, but there's less control with the joysticks than what you have with the mouse. You can just get way more accurate with all your twitch flick shots and all that stuff. And Counter-Strike in particular is a very tactical shooter game to where There's like a lot more pressure. Like you die a lot faster when you turn corners and see people. The hit boxes are a lot more.
Like reaction times.
It's less of a reaction time type of game. There's that in it too, but I would say like as far as shooters go, the games that have like the most intense reaction time are like the ones where you're like jumping around and headshotting people while you're in the air, like Quake 3 Arena, old school shit like that, or like the Halo franchise. Like those are the ones where you're like just really, or the newer ones. What's that one called?
Fortnite, bro. They're always on Fortnite.
And there's another one
can't
called
play
Apex
that.
Legends.
I'm not good at any of those.
Those are like
games.
real fast moving shooters.
I get
Counter Strike's
murked,
more of like a fucking, walk around covert, shoot somebody in the head when you turn the corner, throw a flashbang. You know what I'm
I used to
saying?
play a lot of Counter Strike. Like when I was in high school, there was an internet cafe down the street from our high school, and like that was the thing. Like they would have Counter Strike nights.
Same, man.
That was it. Like that's all
That's
that was
all everybody
happening
played back
in
then.
every computer that was in that spot. And they had lock-ins and shit. Like you could stay there
Oh,
overnight,
dope.
pizza, and Mountain Dew,
Same.
and Counter
Red
Strike
Bulls,
it up.
we were just getting it.
Yeah, like but yeah, like for me nowadays though, like I've always been a console player, but like I always jump from platform to platform. So like for right now, it's like what platform was easiest to have access to, and for me that was the new Xbox X, like the top of the line, their flagship model.
Xbox X?
The X
What is
series.
that?
So they're the X series and the S series, and it just separates by like processing power and how fast.
You talking
it
about
is.
the original Xbox?
No, like the Xbox One.
Okay, but
So
that's the suffix
they have
afterwards.
Xbox One, and then they came out with the Xbox S and Xbox X. So the Xbox One X and Xbox One S. The S isn't as powerful and doesn't have as much storage capacity as the X does. So the X is just like the fastest,
The more hardcore one.
the 2
Is that the most
terabytes of
current,
storage.
like Xbox one they have out.
The most current one that they have, their flagship model,
Okay.
most
Is
powerful
that still the most current to this day?
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it's on par with like PS5 is what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's like the competitor.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
what I have right now, which is also just as hard to get as a PS5.
When did that one
So-
come out, the Xbox X?
I'm not exactly sure. Like I honestly I got lucky getting it because my mom won it in a raffle at
What
work.
the fuck? People actually win.
Really?
Well,
win
she
Xbox
works
X's?
for a tech company, so like there's a bunch of fucking millennial nerds.
So they knew that's the type of shit they
Did you
wanted.
ever play PlayStation and stuff like that?
Oh, I'm a huge PlayStation guy.
All
I
right.
like their controllers.
I'm
Big
PlayStation.
question. Yes.
I'm PlayStation over Xbox all day.
Controllers. Which one do you like better, Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation all day. Like I feel like it just makes more sense. It's way more ergonomical and like it just fits in the hand good. However, like I said, I jump platforms. I'll play. There are games that are only like PS exclusive that I have to play. I just like the new Spider-Man with Miles on PS5. The Black Spider-Man. I want to play that bad, but you can't play it unless you have a PS5. Or like for Xbox. I can't really name an Xbox exclusive game, but like you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
exclusive games and
Like
titles that are,
Forza.
Forza's sick.
Yeah.
like
yeah.
Forza's really fun.
Forza
love
Motorsport's a pretty good
Forza.
franchise, too.
Yeah. So like
compared to
that's
like Gran
super
Turismo,
cool.
you know, like
Yeah, you can only play it if you have Xbox.
Yo, you guys
Yeah.
ever play Need for Speed? You ever play Need for Speed Underground?
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Oh,
Ill
man.
ass game, dude. I used to play that
so
hella,
good.
dude. Like,
All right.
I used to love like the motion that video game would create. It would feel like you're going fast as you're playing it, you know.
Yeah.
And visually,
Underground was
the music
Yeah.
was sick. It was all
Right?
T.I. Remember when T.I. was popping?
What about Midnight Club?
24.
What about Midnight Club?
Oh,
You play
you
that one.
taking
Play
it
Dub
back.
Edition?
Yeah.
Midnight Club
You know
Dub
what? I
Edition?
did play that actually.
That was
yeah,
the
I did on the double.
like
that was
everything
pretty
on
sick.
20-inch rims.
Yeah,
dude.
Cars
underglow
real big.
lights
Cars
and
real
that.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, real big. Everything
Crazy
real big.
tint.
That was a cool franchise.
Yeah.
Dude, so cool. So fucking cool.
That's
so,
a whole like subcategory too of like video games is like customization of like
Yeah.
you know certain things, vehicles for one of them, you know, or guns.
That's when that first started
Kinda
coming
like-
out. Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
remember like Grand Theft Auto around the same time. That's when you started being able to like get tattoos and shit like San Andreas.
you could
know what I mean?
customize a car completely
And then
in
you started,
GTA.
yeah. Then you start
Yeah.
customizing cars,
Literally
guns,
everything.
skins, in every fucking game. Like that time period. This is like what, circa 2003, 2005.
Right.
That time period is when all that customization started getting big in gaming.
What are y'all playing right now at the moment?
Gran Turismo.
Gran
and,
Turismo.
What is it? Battlefield.
I haven't played that. Is it dope?
It's pretty dope.
Which one?
It's like their newest one. I forgot the name of it, but it has like all the Battlefields in it. The old one.
Oh,
like,
it includes all that shit in it?
yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So it's pretty dope. You can like jump into different types of video games and maps and stuff like that with it.
The last Battlefield I played was the one that has the zombie mode with like the Nazi zombies and shit. That
You
can
sure
fuck
that's
with.
not Call of Duty?
Oh yeah,
That's
you're
Call of
right.
Duty.
Yeah, that was Call of Duty. I played that for a little while.
And zombies is on every iteration.
Battlefield. All right, then the last
Right.
Battlefield that I played was, this is a long ass time ago, dude. I played Battlefield like 1942 back in the day when you could have like 64 people on a server and some people are driving around in jeeps. One person's driving, the other person's in the fucking gunner seat in the back of the jeep shooting at airplanes.
That sounds
There's
gnarly.
motherfucking in airplanes playing with a joystick and shit, trying to
I don't know if that's
bomb
the
you and
one.
stuff. That fucking Battlefield,
Is that
bro.
Battlefield?
Yeah, I think it was
'Cause
Battlefield.
I had Battlefield 1.
Maybe it was Battlefield. It was either 1942 or 2.
The
This
only
is a
one
long
I
time
ever
ago, though.
played was the Battlefield Star Wars one. That one was dope.
I fucked with that
I've never
one.
played
It's
that
pretty
Right
tight,
now, I'm not
bro.
really playing no video games though because my little wrist issue prevents me from doing it. Unfortunately, the last video game that I played really heavily was the Zelda fucking Breath of the Wild. You put me on that. That was a ill ass game, bro.
Beautiful,
And
yeah.
I almost finished it, but then my wrist started hurting from playing, and I was like, man, I gotta stop and save my wrist for tattooing. Shit.
That game was definitely worth the wait. Like I waited on that game for probably about a good 3 or 4 years to come out because they
That
kept
was-
pushing the
They
game
did
title
well.
back.
The Zelda franchises,
They
I've been a
murdered
big
it.
fan of that shit for a long time. They did well, but yeah, I was playing that. Prior to that, I was like, I was into Dota. I played Dota 2, like fucking hella, bro. That's a crazy ass, competitive,
Dota?
addictive ass game.
He's talked about that shit for years.
It's on
Dota.
PC,
He's
bro.
always
Dota
been a
will
Dota
fucking
fiend.
get you, bro. Like it's called a I forget what the category. It's called a MOBA. I think it's a massive multiplayer online battle arena is the type of game that it is.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it's like a 5 versus 5 type of premise where it's teams of 5 people that control one individual character that's on a map that you see from an overhead view. And each character you pick, there's like 150 characters or 120 characters that you can select from, and each one of them has different roles and different attributes. And it's up to you and your team or whatever to put together the best combination of characters and then play those characters correctly to beat the other team. And I played that pretty heavily. Same thing, my wrist started hurt, and I was like, nah, I gotta stop playing it now. But that game, a lot, bro. I used to play hella Dota. If anybody knows what that is, then you're a fucking nerd. You know what I'm saying? And it is a pretty popular game too because Dota, I think I don't know if this stat is still true right now, but a couple of years ago I learned that Dota has the highest amount of cash prizes for any video game in existence as far as the tournament.
Just
So
playing competitively.
Playing competitively, there's the highest yields for cash prizes playing Dota.
That's cool.
It's like a hyper competitive game.
That's
Nice,
pretty
nice.
interesting.
It's like League of Legends. League of Legends and Dota are the same type of game.
I haven't played League either.
I've played both, and the difference between them is that League of Legends, in my opinion, is a game that kind of relies more on your like reflexive mechanical ability to where like the faster you're able to move the mouse and respond and do all that shit, it counts more in that game, whereas Dota is more of a strategic thing, but they both involve both of those things. It's just one is more leaning towards
It's pretty
like
crazy.
a fast twitch game, and the other one's leaning more towards a strategy type of deal. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's like really weird that well, even nowadays, like especially with like this high-end gaming kind of professional environment, they're relying on like milliseconds of reaction time,
Right.
and you have to have like the proper internet connection.
You gotta have good
modems,
gear,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, you have to have the whole
the
setup
top of the
just to be
line
able to be at
everything,
the
just to
top
compete.
tier. Yeah.
Well, playing on the LAN, when it comes to PCs, playing on the LAN is the most superior option out of all of them. Because if you went to LAN centers back in the day and had those little lockouts playing Counter-Strike, when you jump on there and there's like a wired connection between all the computers that are playing,
Everything's real time.
yeah, your
to the-
ping goes
yeah.
from being like a good ping on Counter-Strike back in the day would be like anywhere between like 50 and 150 MS, you know what I'm saying? But when you're at the LAN, it's literally like 5.
Yeah.
Like it's
Instantaneous.
10, you know what I'm saying? It's like an almost instantaneous response on everything you do. There ain't no whining. There's no
But that's-
excuses.
That's not how games are
Like,
nowadays.
what happened,
though.
happened.
Everything is online. Everything's all across the world. Everything's
is.
cross.
Well, the internet connections are getting
So-
fast to where they can compete with that now. I mean, good ping now is what, 20 to 60 MS if you have fiber optic internet connection. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but most PC games you can check your.
I just
your
buy the
ping.
most expensive internet that they have and be like, all right, I got the best.
Same
thing.
here.
Got
Yeah.
all the data I need.
Right. Unlimited. give
streaming all
give
this
to me
shit.
all of it.
Yeah.
My favorite games, or I'm gonna say what I'm playing right now. Have you guys messed with Elden Ring at all, or you heard of it?
No,
No,
I've
what's
heard of
that?
it.
What kind of game is that?
Man, it's crazy.
Is it part, does that sounds kind of like some Elder Scrolls Morrowind-ish type?
It is,
part of that
but
franchise.
like
Hobbit,
not at
Skyrim
all.
type?
It's like that, but on
Lord of the
steroids.
Rings,
Have you ever
or
heard of like Dark Souls or Sekiro or
I have heard of Dark
Bloodborne?
Souls, but I haven't played them.
All right, so
Did you show me that game?
Hmm?
Did you show me that game? Is it on the Switch?
No, it's
Okay.
not.
All
It's
right.
you
Go
can
on
play
then.
this on PlayStation, maybe PC, and Xbox. These games from this particular software company, From Software, they make the hardest, like most technically challenging. You have to have your timing down. You have to learn your opponent's patterns, their attack patterns. There's a lot to learn. So like just trying to get through one boss can take you hours or days because you have to learn their attack patterns.
I like games like that.
Figure out the right
The more
strategy.
challenging,
Your
the better for me.
dodging has to be on point because you have like a split second of invincibility when you dodge. So when you dodge at the right time, you can't get hit. So stuff like that. And then like properly leveling your character so that it has the proper attributes and stats and armors and weapons in order to
It's like an RPG type of thing.
It is open world, but it changes the game on like open world. There's no little mini map in the corner. There's no directions to tell you where to go or what
It's not even
what
an
you're
option.
supposed to be doing. No, there's not even an option. You're just thrown into this world with no. This is how Dark Souls games go. You're thrown in with no direction of where to go or what to do, and you just go and you.
The only
figure it out
mode
and
is hard.
explore. Yes,
There ain't
like
no
to the
easy
max.
modes, yeah.
However, they build in like little handicaps. So if you properly level your character, it just makes the game stupid easy. But you have to like really explore the game in order to find these things that will make your character strong enough for the game to get easier. So like the game can be as easy or as hard as you make it based on how much you put into it. Like it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. If you've never picked it up, I would say try it.
Dark Souls.
Just that's people will call it a Souls game because they were the original
That's
franchise.
the general franchise. Yeah.
But like the newest one is called Elden Ring, and it's the first game that they've made that is completely open world. It's like not a linear dungeon crawl.
Which platform is that on?
It's on everything. I'm pretty sure it's on everything.
Okay.
Like this game will consume your life. Like people thought like Elder Scrolls was that. This goes deeper,
Crack.
way deeper.
I like video games like that, and then I also like like mindless video games too. I think like both of those kinds of video games serve different
agree.
purposes for me.
It just depends on like what you're feeling. Like if you want to
Exactly.
just chill out or you really want to grind.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, I don't have no chill out video games that I play. All of them are grinding ass games and shit.
Just self-loathing. I gotta put this down for 2 hours. I'll come back.
I can't
Yeah.
relax. You guys know how I am. I'm like a hyper motherfucker. So I can't. When I play video games, they have to be the most intense competitive games. That's why I play Counter-Strike competitively. That's why I was a big StarCraft.
They
Brood
all have
War.
like strategies and stuff like that, but how much strategy can you build within the environment? What he's telling me for that kind of a video game, it sounds insane. You can have 1,000 different strategies,
You
and
can.
then you start limiting it down to like say like like a racing game or a first-person shooter. You're
So those are more casual, definitely. A first-person
Yeah.
shooter is unless you're playing competitively. Like if you're on just a public server, that's definitely going to be more casual than what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
This
And
sounds
like with
really
this game,
intense.
there's like unlimited like variations on how you can build out your character. You can have just a straight up tank beast build. You could have a spellcaster. You could have a spell slash, soldier build. You could have a stealth build. It really the options are limited in which direction you want to go.
Have you guys ever heard of a game called Cyberpunk 2077?
Yeah, and I've been wanting to play that.
Bro,
so
I have that
bad.
game right here, bro, in the next room.
I hear that they have
Oh,
bugs on
no.
it though, and that's why people don't want to play
Well,
it.
fucking,
I've
heard that it's very resource intensive as far as the computer that you run it on, and that's basically the limitation of it. Is that what were the bugs that you were talking about?
It's probably what you're talking
Like
about.
it won't
Like
run
if you're
smooth unless you
if
have the
you're on a
dopest,
console,
most
it's not
boss
for
computer.
you.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I started getting more heavy into this YouTube shit and got my Sony A7S III, that dope ass camera, my old computer wouldn't edit footage efficiently that I was taking on that camera. So I had to buy a new computer setup like maybe about a year ago. So I spent like 5 racks on a computer setup. You've seen it.
It's crazy. It's a beast.
Most of it's like the best shit you could possibly get. Just the video card of that motherfucker is like $1,500. It's some crazy ass gigabyte fucking GeForce. What I don't even remember the fucking name of it because I ain't a nerd like that. You know what I'm saying? But I bought it because I needed it, and I had read online that there was this game called Cyberpunk 2077 that was like ridiculous, and that it takes a lot of graphics to run. And I was like, I'm gonna just try it out, This is back when I was, I'm out here just wasting money and shit because I hadn't slowed down on how much I was tattooing because of my wrist issue at this time. So I'm like, I'm gonna spend $65 just to see what this looks like. You know what I'm saying? So I downloaded this shit, and it fucking looks amazeballs, dude. Like the craziest graphics I've ever seen in a video game. And unfortunately, it just sits there collecting dust, and I can't play it.
I want to play it so bad, but like I'm a console gamer through and through, and I just can't justify building a gaming computer for the amount of time that I actually spend gaming, because I don't game as much as I used to, because I just don't have time for that. And when I want to game, it's just like I'm going to throw on my Xbox or my PlayStation and play a couple hours, and then that's that. However, you know, like that game has been on the top of my. I remember when they announced that years ago that Cyberpunk 2077 was going to come out, and like Keanu Reeves was like a part of the fucking.
It's a crazy ass game, bro.
And it was like all this other
it's
cool
like some
stuff.
future shooter, first person shooter, futuristic, post apocalyptic.
It came out, and then there was nothing but bugs on it for like the first couple years.
I wonder then maybe
years.
it's a good thing I can't play it right now then, because my wrist issue seems like it's slowly, gradually getting better, and when it heals, best believe I'm gonna go up on there and I'm gonna be with that game. So maybe there's updates that maybe it's a good thing that I'm gonna have to wait until it's all smooth the out. You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying though, it might not be an issue for you though, because you have that powerful computer. Versus like, you know, me or Matt, if we were to put it in like a PlayStation or Xbox, it might not perform.
Oh, is it cross-platform, that game?
Like it's on those
on the PS5
too. Yeah, it's on everything. But it might not perform as well on those versus, you know, your computer that probably has superior specs to, you know, a PlayStation or Xbox.
Most likely it does, yeah. They're not going to max out the specs on a PS5 or something because they want to make sure that it has the most reach in terms of how many people can afford it.
Right.
Have you seen this like professional gaming stuff going on now with all these kids winning like millions of dollars?
Well, like tournaments? Or are you talking about kids getting money off of Twitch streaming?
No, like tournaments. Yeah.
What kind of games?
Yeah,
like
which
gigantic Fortnite tournaments and
I can see that.
I mean, you know, the one I was talking about with Dota, where they basically have the most like money you can make off of playing it competitively. The reason why is because Dota, the way that it works is they have these different tournaments that will happen with brackets that last a long ass time or whatever. But people that play Dota, the game is so intense in terms of like its learning curve that most people that play Dota and do it often, they watch a lot of footage of professional gameplay. So when they have these tournaments and you know, people that are really good at it are playing, the regular casual user who's still kind of a hardcore user, but they're more casual than the people that are playing competitively, they will buy what's called like a battle pass, and that'll allow them to watch every aspect of the tournaments that are going on and shit. And the money, it costs money, so the money that they contribute by wanting to watch the tournaments every step of the way, a portion of that money goes into the prize pool for Dota. So basically the people that play the game are paying the players that are the best of the game to watch them play. And that model right there is the reason why it's such a huge fucking yield in terms of how much cash prize you get if you're a professional Dota player.
Because even if you don't play, the people that enjoy it still want to watch.
Yeah, I used to watch tournaments and shit. I'll buy battle passes every once in a while, check out what everybody's doing, because some of them players are like fucking insanely good, and you just get, you know, Dota's super competitive. It's one of them toxic games where everybody's on there. Like, if you're not good, then they'll shame you, and they'll start talking a bunch of shit to you, and everybody's yelling and going crazy, you know what I mean? But everybody that plays that game wants to get better really badly, so it makes sense that most people are watching the professional gameplay and willing to shell out money to have access to that entertainment / mode of improvement.
All right. What are your guys' favorite all-time games? Or what was the game that got you into gaming?
Like started it all. I'm going to say Mario.
Mario?
Yeah, I got my
NES?
very first console, on my birthday for Christmas as a little kid. I was like, 5 years old, and Mario and Duck Hunt was on that.
Duck Hunt, first one I ever played too. Duck Hunt was the very first video game I ever played. As far as other games that had big influences and shit, like, I mean, Nintendo was one thing, but once Sega came out, that was like a game changer, like no pun intended.
Yeah, the
motherfucking Mortal Kombat, dude. Like when that franchise
dropped,
dropped,
fucking OG Sonic, bro.
Yeah, Sonic. That was like the first 3D looking game that ever existed. It wasn't no side scroll shit. But Mortal Kombat was crazy because it changed the culture. Like, they were on the news, like, bitching and talking shit to where they were like, it's making our youth more violent, and they shouldn't, you know what I mean? They shouldn't have
ripping
access
people's
to
heads off and throwing them at frozen bodies.
And I was like 9 years old, like, no, that. I'm now fatality, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
That's what everybody wanted to play. Mortal Kombat was a shit.
Remember all, like, the passwords, like the underground passwords that you would have to learn, like the cheat codes and stuff?
Yeah, little cheat codes, passwords.
ABACABB.
Select start, up, down, up, down. shit.
Yeah.
Contra, remember Contra? That was a sick ass game.
What's Contra? I never played that.
That's like a fucking side scroll shooter where it's just a crazy ass shooter game, dodging shit and
like
shooting.
like Rambo, just
Yeah, it's just a
going
Rambo
off,
type
you
of
know?
deal.
Y'all remember Duke Nukem?
Oh yeah, I used to play that. Duke Nukem 3D.
I love Duke Nukem.
Because they have a few versions. I played the side scroll ones like Duke Nukem 1 and 2, and they have 3D. That was the one that I played though.
I love how like
I
these-
want to say I played 3D.
It's a
not-
first person
I played
shooter,
3D,
right?
it's pretty
If it's
good.
first
Yeah.
person, then you play 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were good too.
I
think
love how
for
these
me,
video games like push the envelope. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, bro.
But
Go
like
ahead.
as far as like vulgarity within like
Duke
video
Nukem was
games,
one of
like,
those ones.
There was one on the 64 with like a squirrel.
Conkers.
Conkers, was that what it was?
that?
Where
I've
you were,
never
Conker's
like
like,
that
Bad
before.
Day or something. Conkers. I know that's what it's called. Conkers something.
and I remember that was like one of the first ones where
I know
they pushed it.
Yeah,
It's
it was like
you know, it was
girls in
college
bikinis
dream-
all the
Yeah.
time with the fucking little squirrel that likes to shoot. I know exactly what you're talking
That
about.
was crazy.
I've never
Conker's
No?
Bad
What
Fur
platform?
Day. I think that's what it was
64.
called.
That was
Nintendo.
64.
Yeah.
I think it was Conker's Bad Fur Day. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, classic
I
ass
think
shit.
so.
That does
yeah.
sound familiar, actually. Bad Fur Day sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
that one's dope.
Speaking of 64, GoldenEye, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, that was all right.
Those
I'll tell you what,
throwbacks.
GoldenEye was the game that really started making like gaming a multiplayer thing
That
that
was a
didn't just
sleepover
involve.
game.
Yeah, exactly. It was like not
Mhm.
just two people. It wasn't just player one, player two.
Yeah.
That was like split screen. We're getting a
Yep.
room of people together
Yep.
and
It's
we're working
going
with this
down.
game, and we're all yelling at the TV.
Yeah.
That was when all that started.
It was a
GoldenEye.
three-piece party.
Betting
Parents,
started
pizza,
going
and
on.
pop. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? With GoldenEye.
GoldenEye changed it and made gaming on consoles more of a community thing, and kind of paved the way for like what multiplayer gaming would be in the future.
For sure.
Because this is kind of before internet connections
Right.
got really strong, right? Like this is like
Yeah.
56K modem days where you couldn't just jump on it and be like, I'm playing with my friend across the world.
I think for me though, like one that started it all, like really got me invested in video gaming, would
What's that?
probably be Zelda,
Yeah.
and Crash Bandicoot. Those two.
Oh, that's a good
Ocarina
one.
of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
I mean, the
and
first
Majora's
Zeldas, too.
Mask. I
But
didn't jump in there.
The
I
first
jumped
ones
in
were
at
dope,
Ocarina
but
of
when
Time.
Ocarina of Time came out, that was a game
That
changer.
changed everything, bro. It was like a open world. You go wherever you want to
Was that on the
go.
64?
Three
Yeah, I
dimensional.
remember that one.
3D Zelda. It was a 3D Zelda with an open world platform. That changed everything.
That
for
was
RPGs.
the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to f***ing ditch school to play Ocarina of Time and f*** off to I Dream of Genie. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That's just something about a girl that calls you master all the time, and I was just like, all right, well, we're
This is
playing
the
Zelda.
one,
Remember the Aqua World on that game? The one where like it's a water fucking
The
dungeon.
water temple.
The water temple.
That's always the worst. On every Zelda game to this day is always the water
the water
temple.
one is the one that's hard.
Water
bro.
temple's always
and they
just
set
terrible.
the tone with the Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's just you just hate life. Like I probably played the water temple so many times. Like I'd get to the water temple and get stuck, and I'd be like, all right, time to restart the game. Start over. Yeah.
I remember me and my brother, we used to play Resident Evil, like the first
Classic.
one. Yeah,
Classic, dude.
yeah. And we would see how fast we could beat that one.
What
every
about
single
House
time.
of the Dead? You ever played those?
Oh
The
yeah,
last game.
yeah.
All right, let's
yeah.
talk arcade games that you go to the arcade and play.
Oh, okay.
All right, because you said House of the Dead and shit.
I like some
precursor
I
Dance
had
to
that on
Revolution over here? What are
Dreamcast
you
though.
doing?
Did you really?
I had House of the Dead 4 on Sega Dreamcast. Me and my brother used to fuck that
I didn't even
game
know it was
up.
on Dreamcast.
It was
All
on
I knew was there was a
Dreamcast.
game on Dreamcast that was like a fighting game where you have weapons and shit. It was called, what the f- was it called,
Soul
man?
Calibur?
That's-
Soul Calibur.
Was
dude.
that
Yeah.
Dreamcast?
Soul
I
Calibur
thought
was,
that was Nintendo.
I'm
They
pretty
have
sure
it on a
the-
bunch of
the
different
On
first-
platforms.
GameCube, it was Soul
The
Calibur.
first time I
They
played
have
it
it
was
on like arcade
Dreamcast.
games and stuff too.
That was a fucking ill ass game too.
It's pretty tight.
But back
it's
to the
like the guy
arcade
with
shit.
the knives, all fucking doing
Yeah.
weird flips in like some gimp suit.
Yeah.
Before House of the Dead, it was Area 51. You guys
I know what you're
that?
talking about.
Yeah.
Area 51, bro.
On
I could beat
arcade
that whole
games?
game with like $1
Yeah,
back
that's
in the
a good
day,
one.
bro.
I used to do
It's a
that
good
with
game.
Tekken. I could
Oh,
run through
Tekken
it
was
3
the shit,
times in a
too.
row, just
Yo,
on one
I'll mess
quarter.
somebody up
Yeah.
in some Tekken,
Law?
bro.
Just-
I wouldn't say I'm good
man.
at it anymore, but if I picked it up, I could smash on some Tekken still.
So
Yeah.
we're talking arcade
doesn't change
games.
that much.
For me, it was like OG Ninja Turtles.
Oh, absolutely.
That one's
That
dope.
was a good one.
That's still a classic.
Yeah.
X-Men.
Yeah,
X-Men was sick.
Pac-Man, of course.
Yep.
What else is popping at the arcades?
Have you ever played what is it? Pit Fighter, I believe.
I don't know if I
Sounds
played that.
familiar. That's an old school one, but I don't think I got into it.
I don't think I got on
Okay.
that one either.
That one's pretty good. But what about Excite Bike? You ever
I
played
know what
that?
you're talking
Same
about,
thing.
but I
I know
never
what
played
you're
it.
talking about. Never got into it.
What about
Really?
Paperboy at the arcade?
Oh,
That was like the
that was
hardest
weird.
fucking
Where you
game.
got the
dude.
Super
Yeah.
Bowl?
That-
And they
Had like a
give you the
ball?
actual
Who invented?
handlebars.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
invented the
But
way
it's
of
a
playing
side
that fucking game?
scroller, but
They
you
still
have to
have
turn.
that game
It
over
is
at
wild.
the level 1 arcade bar. and shit.
Yeah, they
One of
do
my
have
clients
that
owns
over
that
there.
place. But they have it over there, and I played it again recently, like 6 months ago, and I was like, this game's hard, dude.
It's
Yeah.
super hard.
Yeah.
Still, like I
really-
try when I played, I just try to go as slow as possible.
Yeah.
the whole
don't
time.
work.
It don't work because then the car just comes out and smacks you across the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You got to just fly through and try to fling newspapers into mailboxes.
Did you guys ever play the Simpsons game?
Oh, yeah, that was a classic,
Which
too.
one?
The arcade
The
one,
first
bro.
one.
The
Okay,
arcade
'cause
one
I
where...
thought you were talking about the one on GameCube.
Oh, no, I was talking about the
I never
original
played that
Nintendo.
one.
It was a car Simpsons game. I can't remember what it was called. It was Simpsons. I can't even remember what it was, but it was a car game. It's almost like some Crazy Taxi type.
Play that
but
one.
for the Simpsons. It was
We're talking about the arcade one where you run around and smash shit just like it's Ninja Turtles or
Bart with the
X-Men.
skateboard and
Yeah, Bart
Actually,
had the
yeah, I have
skateboard,
played that.
Marge hits
That's
him with a
good.
vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I played that.
It's
for
kind of
sure.
sexist, but it's tight.
right?
You will clean the floor.
She throws dishes at everyone.
Right.
Like Chinese.
She's
style.
throwing like chocolates and shit. It's like someone's mom throwing
Yeah,
chocolates.
Mexican Marge. She just hits him with a chocolate.
Oh, hit you with the Sub-Zero liquid on the floor and just watch you slip on some soap.
Right.
Yeah, some
There you go.
fabuloso.
Yeah, hit you with the fabuloso. Just
Yo, the Simpsons game was a pretty sick game though. I just like those walk around and it up arcade games. I kind of miss those.
Yeah,
Oh, you know what?
Yeah. You guys remember was it Battletoads or something?
Oh, that was a good game, dude.
No,
On
that's
Sega.
OG.
That was on
That was
Sega.
like before like Ninja Turtles and Simpsons type shit.
Battletoads
Really?
was
that
legit.
that and Street Sharks.
I never
Street
played
Shark.
that one.
I watched the TV show
They
Street
had a
Sharks.
game.
Yeah,
for
I watched
that,
the cartoon.
too.
Yeah.
Or actually, maybe it was. Maybe it's just Battletoads.
Have you ever played
Maybe
Killer
that's just what I'm
Instinct?
thinking about. I don't think so. What?
Huh?
Killer Instinct.
I've
Oh, that was
heard
a
of it.
combo. That was an ill ass game, bro.
I don't remember that one.
I remember all the
Yeah.
characters, Cinder and Glacier.
Yeah, right?
Glacius
You
or
know
whatever
what's
the fuck.
up.
Yeah, I know what's up with that one. That was the
That's like gladiator names.
yeah, that was literally the same era where all the dopest fighting games made their start, where it was like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. That was the 3-pack of games that came out on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because I think Killer Instinct was Super Nintendo, right? I don't think it was on Sega. But
I'm not
Street
sure.
Fighter came out first on Super Nintendo and then moved to Sega afterwards. But Mortal Kombat was exclusively on Sega, period, I think.
Did you guys ever play Pandemonium on PlayStation 2 or was it PlayStation 1? I think.
Never heard of it.
Crazy
No.
ass game. Super. I don't even want to go into it. It's just a weird, crazy ass game. If you would have played it, it's hard to explain. I just yeah.
It's just one of the things where if you know, you know.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, that type of-
I love all these like old video games bringing up like nostalgic memories
Right.
of just like being a little kid.
Just
Oh,
being
it's
a little, not doing your
Yeah,
homework,
drinking all
just,
kinds of soda, staying up
you
till
know,
like
staying
3 in
up
the
hella
morning.
late.
Like I said, ditching school to play video games because I
what a
gotta finish
simpler-
whatever that dungeon is. I gotta finish. It's
some
mandatory.
Laura Croft.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Algebra. I'm
Right?
going
Tomb
home.
Raider,
Raider.
bro.
Some little booty shorts, and
Yeah.
tight
Oh,
tube top.
bro. Yeah, I'd be like, everybody get out of the room. What's the most difficult game you've played?
Ninja Turtles 1.
Okay.
You ever played Ninja Turtles 1 on regular Nintendo?
No.
Bro, that game is insane, dude. Like, it's the one that is a side-scroll game where, like, you know, the other Ninja Turtles, like 2 and 3 that came after it, they're kind of like where you're running around on the screen, top and bottom, and beating it up. This one only goes side-scroll to where it's more like a fucking Mario Brothers type of deal. But Ninja Turtles 1, I remember being a little kid and playing that game with my dad, who was a grown-ass man. Like, he was my age at that time. And we would play that game for hours and days, and we never beat it until we finally got Game Genie. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Game
cheat.
Genie,
Oh,
homie?
yeah.
I haven't heard that in
That
forever.
gives
You
you the
plug it
cheats.
in
That was
and
the
then
hacks.
you plug it in. Yeah.
Hackzor.
Or Game Shark.
Yeah. Well, Game Shark came afterwards, but it was the same thing.
Okay.
Game Shark, I think, was like for Super Nintendo.
Okay.
But Game Genie, yeah, we threw that shit on. And prior to using Game Genie and having the cheats on Ninja Turtles 1, me and my dad and all that, we didn't even know how far the game went. We had never even seen anybody get to the end or whatever, right? And we learned that we were literally only like halfway through at the furthest we've ever made it in that fucking game. And then we got Game Genie and like fucking fought Shredder, and it was literally, it's impossible. Like, you can't, if you can beat Ninja Turtles 1 without Game Genie, then there's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's
all
like,
day,
what is it like
play
that?
video
That Super Mario's on like its hardest level setting, where it's like lasers going off and there's like a guy jumping up and down. Like it's the most difficult
I've seen somebody
thing I've
beat
ever seen.
I've seen somebody beat Super Mario Brothers 3 in 11 minutes one time. Way
That's
back
crazy.
before YouTube
Wow.
existed, there was this website called
That is
eBomb's
crazy.
World. You
Yo,
guys remember
that was
eBombs World? So eBomb's World had a clip that was 11 minutes long of some dude running through Super Mario Brothers 3, the one with the whistles and the raccoon tail and shit.
He didn't lose a life. Not
Bro,
one.
he literally is just bouncing from Koopa to Koopa, fucking full flying. Like, you know, you get the power mode
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
He's doing that, shit, bouncing from Koopa to Koopa, just literally running through the whole game.
Wow.
And then when he goes to the end and fights Bowser or whatever, he has like some cheating ass way that he beats Bowser, where he like traps him in a corner on some glitch and just fireballs him to death right away. And then it's just like, and
Just
this
all cheese.
this kid was like a Japanese kid. Correct me if I'm wrong if you guys are watching, but he was like a Japanese kid that was like 13 years old. He had the world record for beating that game the fastest.
That's wild.
Nerd.
World
Nerd.
records are pretty wild, like that, like speed runs and stuff like that. They do it a lot on like Resident Evil. I was
Which
actually,
Resident Evil?
what is it, 7, I believe. I was watching. I mean, they do it for all of them, speed runs. And I was actually just researching that one before, like who's like the fastest, and it's crazy. They're like literally like milliseconds of time, and you have to like interact with certain characters at a certain way to be able to get past them.
To shave that time off.
Exactly, you know, and it's such a, how do I put it? Like you're trying to solve that. The only way you could do it is by actually enacting it. So you'd have to go through and solve those problems in the moment to figure out what is the fastest route. You know, like you mess up one time here, or you
Set you
jump
back
wrong.
the whole
Yeah,
time.
it's insane. Yeah, and it'll knock you back. But it's speed runs are crazy.
What's your guys' like average as far as like hours spent on video games at the peak of your video gaming life? Like how much time were you spending on them?
Yeah,
Now what are you doing now?
Oh,
I'm nowhere near how much I used to game.
Well, none of us are obviously.
so,
We're grown
like,
ass men.
I'd get home from school, let's see, around like 3. No, school's out like 3, right? Maybe like 4. I'm at home 4:30. And I started gaming, probably be done around 10 or 11 o'clock at night at the earliest.
Really?
At the latest, I'll be playing to like 1 or 2 in the morning type of shit. Only taking breaks to like eat food, take a piss. You know what I'm saying? That
yeah,
kind of shit.
yeah. I've been
And
like
then,
that all
yeah.
day before.
Straight up.
Oh,
And
no.
and you're just not even looking at time. Like your perception of time is just like not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when by the time you look up, you're like, oh, it's 2:30. I should probably go to sleep because I got school tomorrow. Type.
Not
And
me.
you didn't do no fucking homework. You didn't do no fucking homework. Like, fuck it, I'll deal with it tomorrow in the morning. Type.
Yeah, not me.
Like nowadays though, like when I game, it's like maybe an hour, 2 hours at a time.
Yeah, I can't go past 2 hours.
Yeah, there's
anymore.
like some days, like it, especially if it's a new game, where I might commit like a weekend to just going ham on it, but you know you get snapped back to reality because you got a job and you got shit to do, you got
Yeah.
priorities that takes place, and that pulls you out of the fucking little wormhole that you're in of playing video games.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess being an adult makes it different.
I think it does too, you know. Like even in like my 20s when I would play video games, I would again have like a 3-day run where I could just run through a video game.
No problem.
And yeah, not have a problem. I can beat it in a weekend and like a half a work day.
Right.
And now, as you know, working how I do, there's no way I could do that. I can only spend like an hour or two, and then my attention gets just, I can't focus.
That's the problem
anymore.
that I have. When I was younger, I used to be able to fucking binge video game playing for a long ass time. I would stay up for like 3 days straight playing Counter-Strike and just testing out different ways to bounce a smoke grenade off a certain wall so that it would land in a certain place and mask my fucking entrance into a, you know what I mean? Like into a courtyard or some shit in the fucking game. And I used to play hella. And as I got older, now, even without my wrist issue thing, even without considering that, like I remember before it started, my wrist shit, the last game that I had really tried to take seriously was a Metal Gear Solid game. You guys ever play that franchise?
yeah.
I never got
Yeah.
into the Metal Gear
dude,
Solid shit.
you would love that fucking franchise, bro. Like specifically, it has all the shit that you would like. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean?
Super espionage, stealthy shit, like weird little Easter eggs and details.
That's not stuff I liked when I was a kid, though.
Oh,
I
dude.
didn't like
Yeah,
shooters
as a kid,
back
that's-
then.
this
This
It
ain't
was
a
just-
shooter. It's not a shooter, bro. That's not what this
It's
is.
a strategy
This
game
is a
for sure.
third-person view, espionage-based game where it's not about. If you go in there and just start shooting everybody in this game, like you're basically a special operative shit sent on different missions depending on which part of the franchise you're fucking with, right? But if you just go in and start trying to light everybody up, basically you're always a solo operative going into compounds that are heavily guarded, and if you start lighting people up, they'll discover where you are. They're highly trained as well, so they will corner you and fucking kill you.
Sounds like Hitman.
So
you ever play Hitman?
It is a lot like that, actually.
Hitman. I like Hitman
It's
because
quite a bit
you
like
can
that.
play it two different
Hitman's
ways like that.
sick.
So it's quite a bit like that. And with Metal Gear Solid, it's so nuanced to where, like, literally, there's this one Metal Gear Solid 2 to where it takes place on a boat. And if you go outside on that boat, like, you can be inside in the depths of the boat, you know what I mean, in different rooms, or you could be outside, like, on the deck of the boat. And it's raining out there sometimes. And if you're out there in the rain and shit on the deck of the boat for too long, you catch cold. And when you catch cold, you go back inside, you sneeze and cough a little bit, and people start being able to tell where you are. And then motherfuckers start trying to zero in on your position. And now you got to hide up inside of a locker and shit, and then pop out on somebody and choke them out, and then stick them in the locker. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's wild.
You be sniping fools, and your sniping shit's like kind of unsteady, but then there's a certain item you can get. It's like a pack of cigarettes, and you smoke a cigarette while you're sniping, and everything just gets super steady. You know what I'm saying? Like little details.
Is that what the cigarettes were for?
That's what the cigarettes were for, bro.
I never knew.
It's for sniping. They deplete your health slowly, but they make you super steady when you're sniping. You never knew that?
No, I was like, why? I used to like the cigarettes because, you know, you just be in a corner smoking.
Yeah, you're just chilling.
But I never knew what it was for. I was just snake smoke.
Yeah.
Smoking.
So yeah. So I try to play the newest one. That was Metal Gear Solid 2 is the one I was just talking about there. Love the first two. Love the third one. The first two were better, but I tried playing the last one was like Metal Gear Solid 5 or something. And when I try to play it, I noticed as an older dude in his 30s, like just navigating the controls on the video game and learning how to maneuver the character and access the item menus and all this different shit, that would take me a couple of hours just to start getting comfortable with it. But then I have to stop because I have other shit to do and I have responsibilities and I can't spend all day playing. So I put it down. Yeah, and then I'll come back a week later, a few days later, and then, you know, a week later I'll come back and jump back into the game. And I would forget, like, how do I go prone? How do I fucking crouch? How do I do this? So I'm learning it again, and then I spend another hour relearning everything, and I finally get comfortable to where now I'm having fun, and then it's time to stop again. And then it just happens over and over and over, and you're like, man, these games are getting too complex now.
That's where
I don't have time to dump into it.
That's where I'm at right now with Elden Ring. I was telling you about, because, like, you spend so much time learning the game's mechanics and timing and moving it. Then you gotta put it down, and I put it down for probably about the last month. Yeah. I've lived in my new place for a month. I haven't picked up Elden Ring once. I tried to pick it up the other day. I was like,
felt alien, huh?
How do I even play this again? And like when I had first picked it up, it was all I was doing was playing Elden Ring, and I was whooping ass, taking names. Yeah. And then like I tried to put it on, and it was like 1 in the morning at night on a weekend. And I was like, you know what? I don't have the mental capacity to donate to trying to relearn this right now at this moment. Let me play something easier that's just more enjoyable.
That's weird. That's when you get older and you just have less reward for dumping that time into it, less capacity for dumping that time into it, less motivation for it. So we start reverting back to older games. Like I find myself playing Nintendo Switch more often than playing like something hardcore like the PlayStation shit or the console games or whatever. Or I'll just stick to the same game that I've always played that never really changes that much, like Dota, CSGO. You know, I'll bust that out every once in a while.
There's like this little mini game that I picked up instead. It was called Tunic, and it's pretty much a Zelda emulated game where you play as this little fox. Like it's like a newer version, like a 3D, but still kind of side scroller, hack and slash type of deal. I was like, oh, this is fun. I ended up playing that for like 2 hours, and it was just like. Just something to do.
Same here. I'll bust out like on my Nintendo Switch once in a while. Even still to this day, I'll bust out Mega Man every once in a while. Yeah. They got a Mega Man on that shit.
Did you ever play Mega Man 64 on N64?
No, I didn't.
That one.
Was that a 3D?
Sick. Yeah, it was 3D.
I never played that one.
Kind of open world, and it was like you kill things and then you like harvest their parts to create a better like Mega Man.
I love Mega Man because of that shit. You feel like you're absorbing powers.
And
shit, you know
it was hella dope.
I've been playing Mega Man for a long time.
I wish they would bring that back and remaster that.
They did. They still have Mega Man.
I'm talking about the one I'm talking about.
Oh, the 3D 64. One?
Yeah, that one was sick.
You know, I wish they would bring back Metroid, homie.
Yep, they're making a new one.
That was a good one.
The new Metroid is supposed to be sick.
You know, on the Nintendo Switch, they have all those old games and shit. So I got Metroid 2 on that motherfucker. And played through a lot of that game again, and I was like, this is just as fun as it was back in the day. That's a hard game, too.
Did you ever play Prime?
No, I haven't.
GameCube, Metroid Prime.
Uh-uh.
That was a
I
3D
played
one.
I heard it's tight.
That was pretty badass.
Sick.
Yeah.
Samus is one of the coolest characters ever as far as video games.
Oh, Star Fox.
Yeah.
Star Fox was
Oh.
the shit. Damn, that was a dope one.
Star Fox
I forgot
was
about that game. Yeah, that was a sick one.
Yeah, I used to love that game.
64 was really a game changer. Like
Yeah,
that
Mario
platform
Kart.
had some of the coolest games
Yeah,
ever.
Smash
Still
Brothers.
to this day, like I still have an N64 in my crib right now.
And
You know,
I liked the
yeah.
controller too. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo 64 had an
It
ill-ass
worked.
controller. The fucking games they created for that platform and like how paradigm shifting they were was, in my opinion, more than any other platform that ever came out. Maybe PlayStation like runs a close second, but which one came out first? Was it PlayStation or 64?
I think
I wanna say
PlayStation
PlayStation.
1.
I think
And then
PlayStation
around
came out
PlayStation
first.
2, I want to say that's when N64
Yeah.
came out.
Oh, you're right.
So
None of my friends had PlayStation when it first came out, though.
Yeah.
I started discovering it later, like when Resident Evil and all that type of shit started getting popular.
yeah, I had that shit day one. PS1, PS2, PS3.
Seems like the consoles now really don't change that much, like from iteration to iteration.
Not really. It's just
It is.
primarily like processing power and
Mhm.
storage. What's really the new thing is like what we was talking about earlier is the software that developers use to create video games. That's almost more
Exactly.
important than what you're playing it on.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
limitations of what you're able to,
What you
use
can
that
create.
platform for.
Yeah, because like if you don't have the proper development software to create, groundbreaking images.
What
like,
about
you can
VR?
only do so much.
You guys ever with any VR gaming
I've been wanting
systems?
to. I was looking at some
What do you think the
recently.
potential's like on those?
I've played some at some friends' houses and at arcades, and it's super fun.
Is
I
it?
think that the applications of it are going to be like ever expanding. That's going to definitely be the next direction. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation, Xbox, they pushed for
They're
that.
probably all working on their own
Right,
version.
they're probably
I know
working on
PlayStation
something.
had one for like the PS4 and stuff
They
like
have
that.
an
Like
attachment. But what I'm saying is, I feel like at some point those consoles will probably shift 100% and be like,
oh, okay.
this is just what
This
it is.
is what it
now.
is
Fully
now.
immersive.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And that's going to happen with a lot of things. VR is going to be next up.
How
but
was that? The video quality on the VR, was it like good gaming quality,
It's
or was it like a
pretty
Nintendo
dope.
64?
If you ever
Which,
wanna
which
try it.
console did you try?
all right, it's its own thing. So
You
that's
do-
the thing. Like
Like an
the-
Oculus type of deal?
Yeah,
or?
you just playing the games that are actually in the VR headset type of shit.
Mm.
So like I played one that was kind of like a Guitar Hero, but like you're doing it with lightsabers.
Oh, that's
It's
tight.
called Beat Saber, and it's super dope. That's super fun.
Almost
You-
like some Fruit Ninja meets fucking Guitar Hero shit or what?
meets fucking Star Wars because you have fucking real lightsabers and you're moving around slicing shit, and there are like virtual walls and barriers coming at you that you have to like sidestep and move around and duck.
Do you ever see those
Which is
people
cool.
that like get caught like in the VR and they're like running into a wall?
Yeah, that's
Oh
just
my
hella fun.
That's one thing that's scary about him. Is
That's
like,
terrifying. Yeah,
And
I would
then
not
there's
want
this-
to do that.
There's this other game I played, also kind of Star Wars related, where you like fight Darth Vader and like a bunch of stormtroopers and little like floating robots, and like you can throw your lightsaber and bring it back. You can use force pull to grab things and like lightning, and like it's like super cool.
That's pretty
And
That
like you
sounds fun.
feel like you're in
Yeah.
it. Like
any
being
Star
a
Wars
fucking
game
Jedi.
that has like
So,
Jedi shit like that you can do, I'm all for.
yeah.
I played a couple of them. What was one of my play was like Battlefront or some shit. But yeah, being able to like force push and hit fools with lightning and run in slow motion and do Neo shit.
Did you play the newest Star Wars game? What was it, like Final Order or First Order or something like that?
I haven't tried it.
Crazy.
How's that?
You talking about hard game to play? That game's hard.
You guys ever heard of
Those are right.
the Star Wars MMORPG? What the fuck is it called? It's basically like a World of Warcraft deal, but it was Star Wars. This came out like before World of Warcraft and was a pretty big deal for a while. But the thing that I thought,
What was it? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic type.
yeah, the Old Republic, that's what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about this game was that, you can choose whatever roles you want. And basically you could be like a chef, you can be a bounty hunter, you can be fucking whatever. You know what I'm saying? All kinds of different shit. But like as far as being a Jedi in that game, it was really difficult to do. At least back when I was watching one of my homies play, he was super into it, my homie Graham. So I was watching this fool play it, and he was explaining how to become a Jedi, you have to complete all these quests and like gather these crystals and like different parts to build a lightsaber.
Yeah,
And
Kyber
then-
crystals.
Yeah, and then once you build a lightsaber or whatever, like you go through the game and then unlock the ability to start a new character that is at level 0. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you start a new character that's like at level 0, and that character is a Jedi, and basically you level up with that intention of like, I'm going to be a Jedi.
I never played it.
Well, this is the thing, though.
This
is what he explained to me, was that there's a limited amount of Jedi that can be in the game and shit, so they're very rare. And if you are a Jedi and you do too much Jedi shit, like if you run around doing force shit and busting out your lightsaber and everybody up all the time, then NPCs in the game will start coming after you. Darth Vader will show up and fuck your ass up. And when you're the Jedi character, again, I'm not 100% sure about this, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're a Jedi character, then you don't have unlimited deaths and shit. Once you die, you're dead. So it was like,
you have to redo it over again to try and get another Jedi type?
He didn't explain it that far to me, but basically what it sounded like was like, if you're a Jedi, then you got to be on your motherfucking toes, homie, because Vader will come for you and choke your ass out real quick.
Like, I was just about to say that. It's like some Afro Samurai got the number 2 headband. It really is like everybody's gunning.
I just rewatched Afro Samurai
classic
a couple weeks ago. That's like the best shit.
Yeah.
You know, I think RZA had some shit to do with that too.
Oh yeah, he produced all the tracks on there.
I think he did all the music.
All the music was produced by RZA.
I was actually I started listening to the soundtrack for Afro Samurai just a couple weeks ago. It's epic.
It's epic. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the greatest little like fucking anime miniseries ever created.
Same here. As far as like gory ones and dark ones, it's like one of the dopest.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah. Fucking it's pretty much Afro Samurai 2, the resurrection one.
They got that?
Dad back.
Yeah. Or
I've never seen this. What's
his
this?
dad back. And
No, I haven't seen that.
You gotta watch that.
What network is it on?
I watched it on Prime.
You think you have to rent it or buy it or something, but it's dope.
Sure.
Okay. Well, so you guys about done with the video game?
Yeah.
Call it good?
Yeah, I'm over it. We're getting ready to move into Afro Samurai, but yeah, I'm done.
All right, let's call the episode done.
All right, cool.
Bam.
Thanks for watching. Yeah.
Later.
Afro Samurai is a whole nother episode.
Yeah, that's
just anime.
I can talk about that for a long. We should do an anime episode for sure.
Oh.